we lost more than 2 million people because the other 2 million people who are in the informal sector possibly have not been counted. So COVID-19 had a much more devastating impact on our economy than we can even begin to imagine. So when Stats SA says that the employment levels in our economy have returned to pre-COVID levels, meaning that we've got 16 million people employed who are in formal employment, it does show that indeed our economy is resilient and that we have returned to pre-COVID levels. The NEC expressed deep concern that ordinary South Africans, however, continue to feel the impact of high food prices and continuing rise in fuel prices. Most recently, the Competition Commission found that local retailers have not been passing on cost reductions through falling producer prices to consumers. The NEC urged government to engage the retail sector to work together in ensuring that our citizens, and in particular working people in our country, are cushioned from the continuing raising or rises in prices. The NEC noted the impact that avian flu has had to the poultry industry, as well as consumers, and however applauded the interventions to curb the spread of the disease, to fast-track the import permits, to enable the importation of table eggs and fertilized eggs, to evaluate the registration of vaccines for H5 and H7 strains, and also to explore the feasibility of import rebates. Dealing with the current fiscal pressures through a combination of fiscal discipline and a growing and inclusive economy was one of the key areas of discussion by the NEC. The NEC received a report from our deployee, who is Minister of Finance, Comrade Enoch Godongwana, on the fiscal situation or position of our country at this point in time. The NEC is reassured that South Africa is not running out of money. The fiscal pressures that our country faces stem fundamentally on economic challenges of slow and jobless growth. Instilling discipline as an important measure is important for us to take decisive steps to grow the economy. Fiscal discipline is not the same as imposing austerity measures that will undermine our developmental agenda. Accordingly, the NEC encourages government to continue with the implementation of the reforms that we have embarked upon, in particular in areas such as energy and logistics, which are important key drivers to our economic growth. The NEC, while noting revenue shortfalls and related rising debt levels, urged government to exercise fiscal discipline in a manner that does not compromise the priority areas adopted by this ANC-led administration. Our country has turned a definite corner as far as our electricity or energy security is concerned, particularly in relation to load shedding. And the levels and the frequency of load shedding are expected to improve during the fourth quarter. This is largely due to the return of the Kusile units to generation once again, It is also due to the embedded generation by private household and businesses, as well as the demand management, which will be adding much needed capacity to the grid in the form of the megawatts that our entire energy or electricity generation requires. The NEC highlighted the need for urgent extension and investment in our transmission grid through new as well as innovative methods of funding, so that we can speedily ensure that the renewable energy projects that are being installed in the Northern Cape, in the Eastern Cape, and the Western Cape can be brought online, so that they do not become stranded electrons. The NEC advised the Minister of Public Enterprises to urgently attend to the hardships that many of our people are subjected to through the overloading and sabotage of transformers in our townships. Concern was expressed that some communities have faced years without access to electricity because the transformers that are meant to transmit electricity into their homes have either been overloaded or sabotaged and have blown up. The NEC is aware that Eskom and municipalities will be approaching this matter in a holistic manner, particularly in Gauteng, where the government of Gauteng has taken steps which will include, together with Eskom, invest in new transformers, to deal with illegal connections, to tighten security, to prevent theft and sabotage of transformers, and the installation of smart prepaid meters to ensure better revenue collection and demand management. We call on communities to continue with energy-saving interventions in order to ensure that electricity is available and that when new infrastructure is installed, it continues to function and it is protected. The introduction of the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill in Parliament, having been processed by Minister Gwede Mantashe through the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, is indeed a milestone in the transformation of our electricity sector. This will bring our country into line with international best practice, and more importantly, it will establish the institutional foundation for a sustainable as well as an affordable supply of electricity into the future. The NEC welcomed the hosting of the Green Hydrogen Summit that is currently underway in Cape Town, which demonstrates our country's hydrogen roadmap and the commitment of our government in expanding our energy mix in order to build enough reserve and capacity for our economy. We call for a greater push for reform and rejuvenation of the logistics sector, which has been under pressure for quite a while. Earlier this week, the new board of the Transnet National Ports Authority was appointed, giving effect to a long-standing policy decision to separate the roles of the state as the owner of ports infrastructure from its role through Transnet's operating divisions as the port terminal operator. This will improve the competitiveness of our ports and enable greater investment. Consultations are taking place on a new freight logistics roadmap, which will outline actions to enhance efficiency and competition and enable greater public and private investment. This process is being led by the Minister of Transport, Minister Chikunga. The NEC applauded the progress that has been made by government in improving the passenger rail. This includes upgrading and rehabilitating of passenger rail infrastructure, the aspect of signaling, also rebuilding of bridges and train stations. Progress is being made in this regard, and Minister Chikunga gave a report on the great progress that is being made as we open or reopen passenger rail corridors throughout many parts of our country. Progress is also being made in improving the security of our trains and the recruitment of peace officers to prevent vandalization. These improvements will ensure affordable transportation for our citizens. And in some cases, the costs that our people have had to bear by not using trains runs into thousands of rands. And when the trains return and when they start running again, we find that the costs reduce quite significantly. And this is an important aspect of the progress that we are making. The NEC noted that government is actively leading this effort in collaboration with business and other social partners. Some have expressed the concern that these reforms that are currently underway, particularly where our government-owned entities are working with the private sector, are processes where we are privatizing parts of our state-owned enterprises, particularly as in Eskom or Transnet. This is clearly not the case. We've been clear that South Africa's port, rail, and electricity infrastructure are strategic national assets and will remain in public ownership. By enabling private sector participation in specific areas of energy generation, transmission, freight, rail, and port operation, subject, of course, to stringent regulations. Through this, we are mobilizing much-needed investment in the country's economic infrastructure. Such investment will make a significant contribution to our efforts to ensure a secure supply of electricity and to export our minerals, agricultural products, and a number of other manufactured goods as well. So we see this as an enabling process. By restructuring our state-owned entities and by mobilizing new investment, we will help to improve their financial position. We will also enhance their performance and increase their competitiveness. We will enable our SOEs to better fulfill their economic as well as social and developmental mandates. The NEC commends the work that our government is doing in strengthening economic and social relations with a number of countries in our region, on our continent, and around the world. A number of binational agreements and state visits held thus far has translated into agreements that will usher better trade benefits for our citizens. The improved market access that has opened opportunities for various industries in our country will further contribute to job creation. The BRICS summit that we hosted in August was a milestone in the history of the BRICS countries. The economic relations that are forged through our participation in BRICS are important for our drive for greater investment and trade. The NEC appreciated the peace-making processes that our country has been involved in various parts of the world, as well as far as Ukraine and Russia. South Africa will be hosting the AGOA Forum next month. This is an important platform to strengthen economic ties between countries on our continent and the United States in a manner that contributes to our continent's growth and development. We now have an effective partnership with organized business around practical actions in a number of areas, particularly in electricity, in logistics, and in combating crime and corruption. Work is getting done and the effect is starting to be felt. And this is the processes that are unfolding as we seek to button down what we've often called for, which is a social compact. And we have said that we're going to continue building social compacts in a variety of areas until finally we build a comprehensive social compact with all our partners. Government has also been engaging with organized labor on how to address the immediate challenges facing the country. There have been interactions with relevant unions in the energy and logistics sectors in particular, but we are continuing to discuss how we can have a much more effective collaboration with the unions, and I will be having, together with our ministers, a bilateral with our unions where we will discuss a variety of matters at length and at depth. It is through practical cooperation amongst social partners, by working together to effect change, that we will forge a meaningful social compact. The reforms that we are seeing are not limited only to the economy. They are taking place in areas such as our fight against crime and corruption. In line with the resolutions of our national conferences, we are rebuilding our law enforcement and prosecutorial capabilities. We are also taking practical steps and measures to strengthen the fight against corruption as well. We will continue to implement the recommendations of the State Capture Commission by, among other things, strengthening our public procurement processes, making the National Prosecuting Authority Investigating Directorate permanent, and undertaking consultation on strengthening whistleblower protection. At the same time, action is being taken against the alleged perpetrators of state capture. Several cases are now in court involving dozens of accused individuals and companies. Billions of rands of stolen funds have either been frozen or recovered. Bodies like the NPA, the Hawks, SARS, which is a tax collection agency, and the SIU are extremely active and increasingly effective. The recent newsletter by a renowned analyst, J.P. Landman, gives an outstanding objective analysis on how we are making progress in dealing with corruption and re-establishing a capable state. Crime remains a major concern for our people and is an area where we are consistently criticized for not doing enough. The NEC received a report on the actions that are being taken to address a variety of acts of criminality. Minister Bheki Cele gave a fairly comprehensive report on the measures that we are embarking upon, that are being embarked upon, and are actually being acted upon. With regards to illegal mining, the Zamazamas, the construction mafia, through interrupting the entire value chain of the activities of these people who participate in these areas, from underground mining to selling of illegal processed minerals, we are beginning to make progress, and we are ensuring that they are arrested and dealt with. The NEC noted the progress the police are making through Operation Shanela, which aims to combat violent crime through increasing intelligence-led investigations, police visibility, the deployment of new technology, and the involvement of civil society in building safer communities. The NEC encourages ANC structures to strengthen their involvement in community policing and other safety forums and work with law enforcement bodies to build safer communities. As agreed by the NEC, national and provincial government have been requested to intervene in a number of distressed municipalities to support and capacitate these municipalities to perform their functions. Work is underway to make such interventions a reality, and this work must be supported by the provision of the necessary technical and financial resources, obviously noting the existing fiscal constraints that we have to work under. The NEC received a progress report about measures that are being taken to address water and sanitation challenges our country is facing in a number of areas. The report spoke to the various actions that are being taken through the Department of Water and Sanitation, as led by Minister Senzo Mchunu. Cooperation of different spheres of government is indeed required to improve service delivery. Service delivery challenges are being addressed on an ongoing basis. The improvement of service delivery is being done through our district development model, our various water boards, the various other government entities, Department of Human Settlements, COCTA, as well as Treasury. The NEC expressed its pleasure at seeing the progress that is being made, where we're now beginning to focus more on key areas, particularly at municipality level, where action is needed and where progress is now being made. Deputy Minister Pakstau gave a report on how we are going to be proceeding forward to take action, to make interventions in key municipalities in various parts of our country. The NEC expressed its concern at how the payment of grants to the elderly in our country and other grant beneficiaries was mishandled during the month of September 2023. The NEC, however, welcomed the report from government that the bottlenecks that had emerged with regard to these payments have been resolved, and the IT systems are now being streamlined to ensure that during the month of October and going forward, beneficiaries will receive their grants. The NEC welcomed the signing of the Land Court Bill by the President. This signing into law of this legislation will bring stability by ensuring that we will now have full-time judges that can preside over land disputes in our country. The ANC 2019 Manifesto review process that has been underway has manifested itself through engaging with our people throughout the country, where we have also involved accounting. We've made a key feature of this process accounting to voters across the country on the commitments that were made by the ANC in the 2019 elections manifesto. The reports and facts put forward in our manifesto review are being checked by independent organizations such as Africa Check. According to Africa Check, more than 95% of the facts checked were found to be accurate. In addition, the 2022 census that was recently released reinforced a number of the things that we said or the claims we made in our manifesto review, and proved that the ANC-led government has achieved a great deal in improving the lives of South Africans. We do not have time now. We do not have time now to enumerate the number of areas where the ANC-led government has brought about a great deal of improvement in the lives of South Africans. The NEC has welcomed the work being done by ANC structures across the country to rebuild and to renew the ANC on the ground. The reorganization and strengthening of our headquarters, Luthuli House, has given a new lease of life to the African National Congress. There's now dynamic energy and strategic capacity in our organization that has been engendered. Luthuli House office, as led by the Secretary General, has been so well re-energized and is leading the process of renewal and has become a critical element in the renewal process in our organization. This is in line with implementing the decisions of our past conferences, and recently the conference in 2017 and the conference that was held in 2022. The visit by the NEC and NWC to provinces is helping us to redirect the energy and focus of the structures of the ANC on the ground on practical issues such as service delivery and developmental interventions that need to be taken from local government right through to national government. Fully functional leagues of the ANC committed to the cause of our people are critical to our organization. We depend on our leagues to fulfill their distinct and important roles in our movement. The ANC Women's League is a crucial formation for mobilizing the women of South Africa from all walks of life to the cause of our movement. We depend on the Women's League to organize and mobilize women so that we can build gender equity in our society and effectively campaign against the scourge of gender-based violence. And the Women's League is to be congratulated for giving leadership on the whole issue of fighting against gender-based violence. The ANC Youth League, united and disciplined, militant and roaring on behalf of young people, was absent from our national stage for 8 long years. The movement felt the absence of the Youth League. The Youth League has now been reborn and revitalized, being revitalized. The ANC-NEC called on the ANC Youth League to move with speed to address the concerns of young people. In particular, this ANC called on the Youth League to focus on re-establishing progressive student structures in tertiary institutions across the country. The NEC emphasized that it is an organizational priority to establish effective progressive structures amongst the future intelligentsia of our country. So the process of having held successful conferences for the Women's League and the Youth League, and as I will talk now about the Veterans League, these are important markers that demonstrate that renewal in the African National Congress is underway. Veterans League remains at the forefront of the renewal of the ANC and building and strengthening our movement. We are therefore looking forward to working with the new leadership of the Veterans League to develop and enhance programs to take our movement into the future whilst maintaining organizational ethos, culture, and traditions. The appointment of veterans to lead the Integrity Commission and disciplinary processes is part of engendering discipline and integrity back into our organization. The veterans are also working closely with the political education team to revive political development and cadre development in the movement. There is a keen interest and determination on the part of the NEC to ensure that renewal of the ANC should succeed during our term of office, building on the work that has been done since 2017. And all these developments and many other initiatives we have embarked upon in our organization are proof that the process of renewal and unity is firmly underway, and as we have said before, it is irrevocable and it is irreversible as well. Renewal should never be seen as a one-day event. It is a continuous process. There are times when we will take 5 steps forward and 3 back. But the commitment that we have made in ensuring that there's renewal in the ANC is a commitment to which we have said we will not reverse from, and we will always seek to move forward. We must keep at it and reposition our organization. I want to end by saying that this was a most successful NEC meeting, which was underpinned by a great spirit of camaraderie, great exchange of views, but not only views, but great suggestions and recommendations, and this clearly displayed a continuing spirit of renewal and unity within the African National Congress. So in the end, the ANC is on this path of renewal and unity. I can testify that as president, I saw no signs of disunity, no signs of the ANC stalling on its process of renewal. So in the end, the ANC lives, the ANC unites, and the ANC leads. Thank you very much.